The theme selected for deliberation in this session is Ocean Governance and Development of Blue Economy, Challenges and Opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, program of this session is as flashed.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are privileged to have Vice Admiral Retired Khan Hasham bin Siddiq, 𝐓𝐸𝐼 Military, Managing Director, Bahria Foundation, as a moderator for this session.
Okay, thank you. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Honorable Minister for Planning and Development, Mr. Ahsan Iqbal, College number 1090, Yunus House. It's a great pleasure to welcome you. 50 years back, I never thought that I'll be introducing him and I'll be acting as a moderator. Little did we know at that time that we'll develop into this. But Alhamdulillah, mashallah, he has outsmarted the entire entry of the 1971. So thank you for sparing time. You've always been kind to the Navy and to making frequent trips to Karachi despite your busy schedule. The Honorable Minister, as you know, is an engineering graduate and an MBA from Wharton School, arguably one of the best schools in the world. So for a change, we have somebody in the political arena who is right up there as far as the intellectual capacity is concerned. I can vouch for his honesty, having been with him for so many years. So thank you very much once again and wish you the best of the luck as you continue to make efforts, tireless efforts, which you had made in the last tenure as well, and now you're continuing to see to it that not only CPEC succeed, but Pakistan progresses as a vibrant economy. So thank you once again. We have illustrious panel. On my left, we have Dr. Christian Bueger, coming from, he's a professor of international relations in Cardiff University, arguably one of the best places in UK. As you travel from London towards Cardiff and Wales, you have the most pristine beaches and lots of rains. And so I've been to Cardiff many times. My daughter lives in Swansea, so welcome home. Then further on the left, we have Captain Alvi, who is 50 years of experience, not only as a practitioner, but as a manager, and he has academic qualifications. And you must have noticed from his question in the last session, where he had the numbers to challenge one of the leading professors of the world. So we're very, very fortunate. He'll talk about governance of oceans. And last but not the least, we have Mr. Tariq Huda, who has been a very vibrant civil servant since 1989. He's currently holding the most important charge of Secretary Maritime Ministry, Maritime Affairs Ministry, and also, in addition, he is the chairman KPT. Thankfully, he did not attend the last session where he was about to lose his job, sir. One of the recommendations that came up was to have a naval officer as the Secretary Mobile. Being a doctor, I think he'll gleefully vacate the place if it comes to that. So thank you very much. Mr. Tariq Huda has an impeccable reputation for being a doer. And I foresee he being a secretary, things will move forward, both in the ministry and also at the KPT level. Since we are running short of time, so I'll not talk about the subject. The Honorable Minister has got to leave by 5. His return flight is at 7. So we'll have a slight change of plan. We'll let the professor speak first for about 10-15 minutes, and then we'll ask the Honorable Minister to share his views with respect to blue economy and the government policies to promote the maritime sector. So if that is okay with the organizers, we'll go according to that. So over to you, sir, for the first talk on the economic ocean governance, sir. Yeah.
Thank you very much for the kind words It is a great pleasure actually for me to be back here in Pakistan. I've been attending the conference quite a number of times now, and I'm positively surprised how well it has been developing over the year, and also what kind of difference blue economic thinking can actually make. Just look at the conference exhibition and all the industry and the ideas that are actually being presented there. So I think this is quite remarkable, actually. Now, we are here in this conference to discuss the oceans and how the oceans can be better governed. This includes the blue economy, but as we've heard in the first session, it also includes a number of other questions and problems. And since my background is in maritime security, quite obviously there's also a link between the blue economy and maritime security, but this is not it. We also need to think about conservation, we need to think about climate change, and we need to think, perhaps most importantly, also about blue justice. Now, what I would like to do in the next 7 to 10 minutes or so is introduce you to some of the research on global ocean politics that we are currently carrying out. It is also research that you will find in our forthcoming book, which is called Understanding Maritime Security. And this you can hopefully buy by the end of the year. And it's very much also work that is conducted as a collective project in a research group which is called the Ocean Governance Infrastructure Research Group. So we are looking at infrastructures in particular as a way to think about the oceans. So my key argument here is we need new ways of how to restructure and think about the oceans. Now, I think everyone here in the room would agree with the assessment that the oceans and the maritime space have received unprecedented global attention. Whether that's pirates, smugglers, interstate disputes, concerns over critical infrastructure protection, climate change, biodiversity loss, or environmental crime, global and national policymakers basically are busy now trying to protect the oceans. And I know this includes many people here in the audience. Yet there's something problematic about it. We have a lot of activities. Everyone is busy in trying to rescue the ocean in one way or the other. But often these activities are actually not in concert. They are fragmented, they are multidirectional, and often risk duplication even, or even contradiction between measures. How can we address that? What does that mean? And how can we organize the debate differently? And if I could have my slide now, that would be absolutely amazing. Now, I argued that the current discourse is basically structured in 4 new paradigms: maritime security, blue economy, ocean health, and blue justice. Now, in one way, these might be all familiar to you. They are novel in the sense that they go beyond old ways of thinking, such as sea power, freedom of navigation we heard about in the earlier session, marine safety, or post-colonial justice. So these are paradigms that develop this thinking further, but they, however, also decenter from the state. They take us away from the idea that the state should run everything and is the only important actor. Many times it is not navies that control the oceans, but it's actually the shipping industry that does. Very often the threats do not come from other states, but from pirates and from criminals or terrorist organizations. And these are exactly the things that the 4 blue paradigms highlight. However, while they are new and share the emphasis on the non-state dimension, they are also radically different. If you look at the oceans from a maritime security perspective, it's all about blue crimes, it's all about terrorism, it's all about gray zone tactics and security threats. If you look at the oceans from the perspective of the blue economy, well, it's all about how to make money. It is about how to get people into jobs and how to make profit while keeping sustainability quite obviously in mind. If you look at the oceans from the perspective of ocean health, then the sea is basically a sick patient that requires science-based medicine such as restoration and recovery. And here, quite obviously, we are talking about climate change and biodiversity loss as the key challenges. But yet, very different problems come to the fore compared to maritime security and blue economy. Now, finally, the core issue at stake in blue justice is how to ensure that the revenues from the blue economy and the risks captured in maritime security actually are fairly distributed, both among societies, but also among coastal communities. And here the key problem are mechanisms of accountability and how to deal with problems such as corruption. Now the point here is, if we look at the oceans from these four new blue paradigms, we're not talking about one ocean anymore, we are talking about four different oceans. And at the same time, in each of the four blue paradigms, there are different actors engaged. Maritime security is about law enforcement, navies and coast guards. Blue economy is about economic calculations, planning and investment. Ocean health is about protection, conservation, environmentalism. Blue justice is mainly an activity that civil society groups and activists engage in. Here we are then not only talking about four different kinds of ocean problems, we are also talking about four different kinds of ocean communities, communities of professionals that are trying to address these problems. And here is the moment where things can often get very, very complicated. Consider the example of aquaculture. The blue economist would say, let's invest more into aquaculture because that can create profits, that can create jobs. Security advocates would agree. They would say, well, more jobs means less insecurity, so that's a good thing. But ocean health and justice professions would radically warn about the consequences for the marine environment and ask, where do the profits go? What are the impacts on the coastal communities? Take another example, marine spatial planning and marine protected areas. Both of these are core tools in the repertoire of blue economy and ocean health. But at the same time, if you work from a maritime security perspective, you clearly would warn that, well, it's not enough to have a protected area if there's no one out there that protects it. You need the law enforcement at sea, and at the same time, those arguing from a justice perspective would point out that in marine spatial planning, there's often a lack of equity consideration. Now, these are just two examples of many. And they show us that the four blue paradigms, these four different ways of thinking about the oceans, very often do not go together. So our key challenge here then today is to think about how to deal with that and how to go to a state where we can actually achieve synergy between security, economy, health, and justice concerns. Now, let me end on a quick note of what that might mean for navies. I think, first of all, for navies, this implies to recognize their role vis-a-vis all of these other actors, whether they're economic actors, civil society actors, or environmental actors. They need to learn more about the logics of these paradigms. But they also must learn how to collaborate better with these groups. Now, today, navies talk a lot about on how to cooperate with industry, the blue economy, but not necessarily enough how to build bridges with the marine conservation movement or those concerned about justice. And here we're in essence talking about building trust, making proposals that actually benefit everyone. Now, as we all know, one of the vital elements for building trust is maritime domain awareness. For the moment, we are only using maritime domain awareness as a tool for operations and interagency coordination, but I think it can become a much broader collaborative tool, in particular if we are merging security concerns with environmental concerns and start fusing the environmental data into the security data. Perhaps as a last point, navies, I think, must take the ocean health, the environmental debate much more serious. And this is largely triggered by climate change. On the one side, there's an operational question. Climate change will pose new challenges, such as new environmental regulations, will lead to new patterns of crime, but also to a wider spectrum of operations for navies, including enforcing these environmental regulations. But we are also talking about more oil spills, we are talking about more shipping accidents, more search and rescue, and potentially more roles in disaster relief. So it's really time to think about and make an honest assessment, and this does not only apply to the Pakistani Navy, but to all navies globally, whether they are actually fit for the job that climate change implies, whether they are actually fit to engage with these other communities, the blue economy community, the ocean health community, but also the blue justice community. To wrap it up here, I've introduced you to a problem I think that is important. There are 4 oceans, 4 kinds of communities that often do not work together in the way they're supposed to. There are untapped synergies there, and all of that points to a revised role for the Navy, or is at least an invitation to think about these matters much more systematically and much more strategically than has been done before. I thank you for your attention and very much look forward to the questions and also the discussions in the tea break and so on. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Christian, for an excellent talk about ocean governance. And the take-home point from his, as it appears, we have to think ocean governance and maritime security beyond the military and talk about climate and the number of other challenges which the ocean presents. And unless we do that, and unless the global community is ready to cooperate with each other, only then the ocean's biodiversity and climate can be saved. Without further ado, may I request the Honorable Chief Guest to say a few words.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Admiral Hisham bin Siddiq Saab, DG NIMA, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I would apologize because I will leave early because I have my flight to catch. But I am here today to underscore and to show our support for the cause of maritime economy and blue economy, which is Pakistan's great endowment. Pakistan is amongst those countries that has been gifted by the nature a 1,000 kilometer long coastline and almost 290,000 square kilometers of exclusive economic zone and continental shelf area. That makes the Blue Pakistan the second biggest province of Pakistan after Balochistan, which is about 350,000 square kilometers. But unfortunately, we have not been able to tap the potential of this blue province of Pakistan, offering immense opportunities. In our previous term, when we started Vision 2025, we targeted this area as one of Pakistan's future drivers of economic development. And one of the key initiatives that became a big game changer in this domain was China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, through which Pakistan got connected to a big maritime trade route which China had developed through Belt and Road Initiative. And Gwadar Port, that offers immense potential to be a hub for transshipment, was developed to become a leading port and a smart seaport in the region. We did a lot of work, but unfortunately, that trajectory and that journey could not continue beyond 2018. And that also shows the story of Pakistan's 75 years of development journey. Pakistan is, as you know, unfortunately grappling with severe economic challenges, not only because of the climate disaster that hit us last year with $30 billion hit, while our contribution to global carbon emissions is less than 1%, but we had to suffer a big cost for the irresponsible development of developed countries. But today, unfortunately, those countries are not willing to share their burden of the loss that they are causing to developing countries like Pakistan. And we have to bear the major burden of reconstruction and also trying to fight the danger and challenge of climate disaster for the future. But beyond that, we also today face economic challenges because of the discontinuity in economic policies. I think, all these development seminars and concepts are good. It is about time that we as a nation also understand that why we are where we are. And to me, there are two fundamental problems that we have to fix for future. One, we could not develop Pakistan as an export-led growth economy. And to develop Pakistan as an export-led economy, again, depends very much how we utilize our maritime opportunities and how we seize the opportunities that blue economy offers. How are our ports performing? How competitive they are in terms of taking out and bringing in logistics. So that is just one part of it. But beyond that, there is so much potential for Pakistan to earn foreign exchange through export of fisheries, through coastal tourism, through exploration of minerals, through maritime transport. Gwadar alone can earn billions of dollars by becoming a port for transshipment to Central Asia and Gulf states. So these are all opportunities that we have to leverage. And if you look at the new emerging opportunities like aquaculture, maritime, biotechnology, oceanic renewable energy, maritime tourism, and so many other opportunities, it is estimated by some studies that Pakistan can benefit from blue economy to the tune of $100 billion. That is a very conservative estimate that how much we can take benefit by developing a blue economy. So in Ministry of Planning and Development, During our last tenure, we pioneered the idea of changing Ministry of Ports and Shipping to Ministry of Maritime Affairs, because we wanted to take this sector much beyond just port and shipping and to tap into the potential of our maritime economy or blue economy. And we also set up a special unit with Pakistan Navy's assistance and had an officer deputed in Ministry of Planning to work with us on the challenge of and the opportunity of blue economy. So we have a blue economy unit in Ministry of Planning. Blue economy is very much integrated part of our future economic planning. But as I said, the real challenge now is that how do we ensure continuity of policies in this country? Vision 2025 that was started in 2014 at a time when country did not have enough electricity. We had 16, 18 hours of power shortages. But within 4 years, we were able to add 11,000 megawatts of new power into the national grid. And compare this to 18,000 megawatts that was added in 67 years. That was a big accomplishment for Pakistan. So if we can do that in 4 years, there is no reason that why we should not be able to harness the opportunities that blue economy offers to us. And we have to link this blue economy to our strategy to now promote exports for Pakistan. The future of Pakistan depends how fast can we grow our present $32 billion export to $100 billion mark. Whether we do it in 5 to 8 years or we do it in 12 to 15 years. These are the two trajectories that will decide the future of our economy. And I think we have no option except to gear up and ensure that we follow with full focus and concerted effort the economic potential of Pakistan to produce exports and also to link our maritime sector to facilitate this export performance, which means turning our ports into very efficient ports, turning our maritime operations into efficient operations. It is a sad state that Pakistan National Shipping Corporation, which at one time was a leading flag carrier of Pakistan on the oceans, is today gone, is nowhere. There was just like PIA was leading the way in Asia at one time. So we have to really do introspection that why have we not been able to translate these big success stories of the past into continued stories of success. And I think we need to now revive those traditions. If we don't have enough ships in our fleet, we will not be a strong exporting nation. If our ports are not strong, we cannot be a strong exporting nation. We have huge engineering capability. At one time, Karachi shipyard used to make ships for PNSC and similarly other carriers. But today, that opportunity is no more there. So we have given Pakistan Karachi shipyard a very big project in the previous term. And I think with this new opportunity that Karachi shipyard has, why cannot Karachi shipyard be the next shipbuilding hub for Asia? And why cannot we manufacture ships here for other countries and do them more efficiently so that we have more orders and we can have more exports? But important thing is that while we develop our maritime potential, we understand the logic of the blue economy. Why was blue economy word used from maritime economy? It was used because the way we were using our resources, we are destroying the health of the ecosystem of planet Earth. Today, there are projections that if we continue what we are doing, by 2050, there will be more plastic in the oceans than we have the fishes. Now, we cannot destroy the ecosystem in our oceans like we have destroyed the ecosystem on our land. So this planet, which essentially is a blue planet with 70% water, also deserves that the oceans and the seas are preserved. And how we take care of this resource is pretty much evident if you happen to take a ride on a ship or a boat to Kemadi. Why are we not able to preserve the ecosystem of our seas? I think it's not just about exploiting the economic potential. It is also about maintaining the health of the ecosystem. And how do we keep our seas secure and not polluted, and how we keep them a safe and a secure ecosystem for the fish and the other aquaculture that grows into the seas. So these are challenges, but I want to assure you that our government is committed. Our future plans include blue economy as important drivers of Pakistan's economic development, and we look forward to support of Pakistan Navy. We appreciate that recently Pakistan Navy extended us technical support in carrying out dredging at Gwadar Port. And you can see that how irresponsibly things have been handled in the past. Gwadar Port, which was supposed to be the jewel of China-Pakistan economic corridor, was not given funds to do the maintenance dredging. And as a result, the depth of the port was considerably reduced and big ships could not come. But now we have allocated more than 4 billion rupees and we are carrying out the dredging, and we hope that Gwadar Port will be back in full swing. We have started some activity with the ships that are coming in and bringing in essential cargo for Pakistan. They are now going to Gwadar Port, and Gwadar, I think, has a lot of potential for future to be the main driver of maritime and blue economy in Pakistan. So I look forward to the recommendations of this conference, and I want to assure you, and I think National Institute of Maritime Affairs is doing a very useful, making a useful contribution through such conferences to give us the body of knowledge that will help us make evidence-based policies. So I assure you that whatever recommendations you will give us, you will find us ready customer to implement them, to build Pakistan's potential in this sector, which, as I said, spreads over 290,000 square kilometers, and that cannot be ignored. So thank you very much, and I wish you success, and I beg leave. And then I pass on my seat to my old friend and roommate in PF College, Sargodha, Admiral Hisham bin Siddiq. I think he will carry forward this session more ably. Pakistan Zindabad.
So thank you very much. Just 1 second, may I request the Vice Chief of Naval Staff to give away the souvenir to the Chief Guest, please. So we'll continue the session. May I request the Honorable Secretary, Ministry of Maritime Affairs, Syed Tariq Huda, for his views on Pakistan's maritime potential, arguably the most important topics of the day. So thank you very much, sir, for sparing time and being with us for this talk.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Tariq Huda, and I'm having 2 charges nowadays, much to some people's surprise, I guess. I'm the Secretary Maritime, and I'm also the Chairman KPT. I'm very grateful to the Pakistan Navy for giving me an opportunity to give my presentation. I heard the Honorable Planning Minister about what is the potential of our blue economy and what we have perhaps not done so far, and as always, why couldn't we? But I'll just, for the sake of audience, and I guess there's some policy makers here, I wish the planning minister would also have been here. But anyways, so we could have talked about more of policy. So what is blue economy? I guess since morning you must have known of it ad nauseum but it's the sustainable and integrated development of economic centers in healthy oceans. So there are three key words here. It's sustainable, it's integrated, and healthy oceans. It's different from what you have in the ocean economy. It's different because it's more holistic. It integrates. It talks about more sustainability, so that the country can reap the benefits of it. So there are these 12 sectors you may have seen and known, and I'll dwell with it as I progress. So this is the global status of the blue economy, and if you could see, it's a massive asset lying before the whole world. The 7 billion population, and you could see the 2.5 trillion is the goods and services derived from many resources, and $24 trillion of marine assets. And 90% of the trade of the world is through sea. So the shipping is doing the biggest chunk of our trade. 40% of humanity is dependent on daily diet comes from the marine sources. As far as the economy is concerned, oceans are the 7th biggest economy, and the oceans can provide 5 times the energy demands of the world. So that kind of encapsulates what the bigger deal is for the world, and if it harnesses this potential, a lot of good can come out from the oceans. Now look at us. We have 200 nautical miles of EEZ. But if you see the GDP contribution, it is $1.5 billion. And if our economy, now the State Bank is going to kind of rebase it and maybe bring the contraction of the economy now. But if we take it at $300 billion of our GDP, you could see it's just a minuscule $1.5 billion. So that's not contribution enough. If you see China, it's around 10% of their GDP, and the US is 4%. Even in the region, we are the lowest. So I guess blue economy has not taken the fancy of the policymakers, of people who are sitting in this room and in Islamabad and even in the provincial capitals, because a lot to do with those 2 provinces or states which we have, the Sindh and the Balochistan, who have a larger stake as far as the sustainability and the sharing of resources is concerned. Blue economy has a potential of mitigating our trade deficit. And this is, I guess, the biggest problem nowadays, what we face here. We have a $48 billion deficit, and if going by what the planning minister says, we have a potential of raising $100 billion. So in the near short term or in the medium term, if we are able to harness 50% of that even, I think our problem could be largely resolved, what we see today. Well, we have more than 10% people living along the coast, so that's a sizable population. Around 25 million people live along the coast, Karachi being the biggest one. We have the 6th largest mangrove forest in the world. So, and the potential for us to harness the tidal energy is 1100 megawatts. So just a bit of the challenge before the Maritime Ministry is to kind of navigate. It's a difficult situation in that sense that we are a federation, so quite a few powers are devolved to the provinces. Some are in the federation. So to harness and to get the potential out of the of the blue economy. It's my job, it's my ministry's job to navigate, try, partner with the provincial ministries, because the governments, because that's a key factor here. And I think in my tenure, if I am able to serve this country at that position, that will be one of my key overture and my endeavor. So MoMA is championing it, yes, but I won't go that far that we've been able to do much. But this is what we have done last year. But again, it's mostly as a legacy. We concentrate on just shipping sector. So this is just about what we have achieved during the last 3-4 years, and we expect to do more in shipping. We are trying to get more transits through Pakistan territory into the Central Asian states. We have had the Kazakhs and the Uzbeks and the Tajiks coming in. We expect some more shipping for transit. Transshipment, as the minister has said, transshipment of Gwadar has a potential, and we are looking very keenly how to come back into the transshipment business, because we have perhaps already missed the bus. But nevertheless, we have this SAPTL, which was designed to be a transshipment port, and Gwadar again. So basically, I think the shipping sector should do well. We were trying to align more to bring more dollars and to Pakistan's economy. Then the capture fisheries, I guess it's the most challenging, because our problem is between the provinces and the federation. We are more keen on exports of fishes, but there are huge issues in the governance of capture fisheries. We will be in some time going to the Sindh government and even our Balochistan government to make things easier for us to not just export more, but to make it more eco-friendly and environmental friendly. The blue economy opportunities for Pakistan, as I've already mentioned, there are quite a few, and if you see, these are a lot of good potential here. If you see, it's like I've told you, it's about shipping, it's about aquaculture, it's about tourism. Tourism we have not done well again, and we need to have the partnerships with our counterparts in the Sindh government and the Balochistan government. But now that Rahat is sitting here, Rahat, thank you very much for doing this great study on blue economy. The draft study has already been done. We are very keenly awaiting for the final version, and I guess that will kind of encapsulate the entire challenge, the governance model, and just even on that, we have taken a few steps forward. So thank you very much, the World Bank and Rahat, for doing that for us. So we also have some hinterland opportunities coming our way, and if you could see, we are already over. I would say invested in our container terminals. We have a capacity of handling 5 million. We are doing around 3 million now. So we still have a 2 million container handling capacity. We expect that the transits and the transship would be helping us in dealing with that. Plus, of course, our own economy, which hopefully in years to come should grow. So we expect a very strong, I would say, hinterland opportunity in terms of shipping. Then port infrastructure hasn't done well, and if you see, our port connectivity is not that great. I wish the planning minister would have been here to just tell him that, one of the reasons why we haven't done very well in terms of port efficiencies is our port connectivity. So while in the CDWPs and the ECNICs, you have a lot of road infrastructure fundings. It's not come down south, and it's not come down south to our ports. So if you see the Karachi ports, it's perhaps one of the worst port connectivity around. Even the Port Qasim as well. So I wish he was here, but I'm going to take this to the planning ministry to have the ports connected well so that we could reap more benefits, more port connectivity, more nearshoring, more industries coming along your coast will make us more competitive. And as the Honorable Minister had said that we missed the bus on export-led growth. One of the reasons is because we are not nearshored enough, because we are still taxing imports for our revenues. 52% of our taxes come from imports. So if you tax your imports, you tax your exports. So a lot of things have to be, I would say, realigned. We need to look at the bigger picture, bigger potential which Pakistan gives us, irrespective whether we're in uniform, we are in CVs, our commitment has to be to the country. This country has given us so much, but it's now time for us to hone our mind and actually work for the benefit of this great country, which has great potential. I wish if it was somewhere not smack in the middle of earth, I could have said, all right. If we would not have had these great weathers systems, I would have said, all right, we're not there. If we didn't have this much of population, a great market, then again, I mean, there's everything going for us except ourselves. So I must really emphasize this. It has to be a national effort, and really we really want to take it forward. And lastly, it's been just a month from in the MoMA, but thanks to Rahat, she brought this draft study. We have now started in an earnest way in the Ministry of Maritime Affairs. We have made a broad-based consultative steering committee. Now, usually people have a few skeptic way of if you have your committee means maybe doing nothing. I understand that because mostly don't do much. But that's the way to govern also. You need to have committees, you need to have people coming in the committees discussing. But I can assure you from my part and my colleagues from the Maritime Ministry and my good friends being the Chief Secretary Sindh and Barstan, this time we might be able to clinch a few things for Pakistan. I really think that this is the time opportune, and let's not squander it again. I again thank you, thank the Pakistan Navy and all of you great audience who are here to listen to me. And from my part, from Ministry of Maritime Affairs, just feel very easy. My doors are open. Please come. Let's discuss. These are the days of great ideas. Let's not squander more time, and let's build Pakistan up. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving us the overall global perspective with respect to blue economy, and also talking specifics about Pakistan's maritime potential and the opportunities that lay before us in the parlance of blue economy. We are also encouraged by your passionate appeal, and hopefully with you around as the secretary, we will have number of issues with respect to policy frameworks and number of important projects which need to be undertaken, as you've rightly highlighted. And with your assistance, I think the private sector and the other governmental agencies related with maritime affairs can do well, at least in the immediate future while you're there. Thank you very much, sir. And we have now arguably one of the most qualified speakers to talk about ocean governance, Captain Alawi. As I said, he's a seafarer himself and also has undergone academic qualifications in UK, and he has international experience par excellence. Over to you, sir. Thank you. And may I request, sir, for about 10 to 15 minutes, because we already overshot our time, and so that we can give opportunity for people to speak, to ask questions.
Absolutely. What I'm going to do is I'm going to skip most of my slides on the blue economy, where I talk about the potential which has not been exploited or been talked about.
That'll be
Pakistan.
great. That'll be great.
So here we go. Yeah, I have traversed the full spectrum of maritime industry, fortunately, on the international side in the global world, 53 years, and almost in every segment of maritime industry I've covered. As a maritime administrator in UAE and in ship finance institutions, as well as a ship owner, plus the smaller ones as a consultant and as a surveyor or inspectors and everything. Now, my company, of course, is a consulting firm. We do completely on the maritime side as well as oil and gas, especially on LNG. The global maritime economy, global blue economy, I will ask one question from the audience. The whole question of environment, which is based on the basis of COP21. Is there global warming potential reduction mandatory under COP21 or voluntary? I would very much like to have an answer to that, because I think most of the people are not aware that COP21, 2 degrees temperature reduction by 2100 is voluntary. It's up to the countries to decide. It's up to the country that how they're going to handle it. After the COP21, when John Kerry came back to US, he was asked how this will be enforced. And his answer was that we will shame those countries which do not follow. So please be aware when you're making the policy as a policymaker that it's a voluntary thing, it's not a mandatory thing. And yes, you have to take care of the environment, but you do it without compromising your economy. Now, moving on to Pakistan coastal, everybody has talked, and I'm not going to go into the details, but on the right-hand side, I put a graph that Zalzala Island appeared in 2013 off the coast of Makran after the earthquake over there. And this island was pushed up because of the leakage of methane gas, which is the gas which is used to convert natural gas, which is used to convert into LNG. Now, why is it that the LNG or the natural gas over there off the coast of Makran, Balochistan has not been exploited yet? Before that, there was another earthquake. I think that happened sometime in 1950s or 60s, and there was an island which appeared, was called Milam Island. And again, it was pushed up, and of course it disappeared when the gas leakage subsided over there. And it was not explored. Yes, you need 20 trillion cubic foot of, reserves to make an economical development of a gas field. But then again, there are today, in 2023, there are technologies which are available which can develop the standard gas. So why isn't this technology has been used or been explored in Pakistan? Now, this is the Pakistan shale play, which is the non-conventional gas and oil. Pakistan has got 9 billion barrels of oil reserves in the upper Indus Delta. This report is by EIA, Energy Information Agency, and this report came out in 2015. This has got a gas also, technically recoverable, and it has got the oil also, which is technically recoverable. And why till today it has not been explored or talked about? I go to the next one. This is again the USGS assessment. that the Indus Delta has got a reserves of undiscovered reserves of oil and gas over there. I haven't seen a single rig over there or a single exploration possibilities or talked about, or even read into the local medias. Sustainability. Yes, we have to be extremely careful in sustainability, because I can't read the numbers from here, it is 191 million acres, I think it is, which is water consumption. 80% of the Pakistan's water resources are considered unsafe. It is 80% of the water supplied in Pakistan is considered unsafe, and water scarcity and waterborne diseases result in a loss of 1.44% to the GDP. Projected water scarcity is serious concern. IMF report says that the total availability of water at 191 million acre per feet. By 2025, it will go up to 274, and it is complicated by the projected melting of 1/3 of the ice cap of the Himalayan ice cap. So we have got a serious water problem over here, and what we are doing about it. Our rainwaters are drained into the sea, and rather than being collected like it used to be done 5,000 years ago in the Indus Valley. The Pakistan maritime profile. Pakistan's maritime profile is that the merchandise trade is 134 million tons, dollars in current US dollars. And the transport service trade is $16,334,000. Now, here's the important one, the maritime key facts for 2021 from UNCTAD. Shipbuilding, 0 GT. Ships recycling is the only sector which equates to 19% of the global scrapping. It used to be number 1 in the world a few years ago. National flag is 868,000 tons in dead weight, which equates to 0.04% of the global tonnage when you compare to that. The fleet, 58 ships. Fleet ownerships, 1,405 tons dead weight. And number of port calls, 3,792. I will skip this slide because I think it has already been talked about. Now, looking at this, the 4 main sectors, it's not restricted to 4 main sectors, but it is what they have been used to calculate the impact of maritime economy onto the country's GDP. Services sector, resources, manufacturing, and education and research. Now, looking at the services sector, is the largest contributor into the GDP maritime economy. And among this service sector, the subsectors which contributes is the shipping, which is and tourism. That the 2 main subsectors which contributes to the economy. Resources, fisheries is the top sector which contributes to the maritime economy. The figures which I have showing over here is the figures for UK, so it doesn't apply to Pakistan, but it's the general percentage of application of the contribution of different factors to the maritime economy and to the GDP are very much reflected over here. Now, maritime value chain. At this point, please, I would like everybody to pay attention to. The maritime value chain starts with education, research, and everything. That's the front end of it. So we spend 0.02% of our GDP if we spend, in Pakistan, if Pakistan they spend 0.02% of its GDP on the education sector. But I've seen the gaps. Then some years that even 0.02% has been skipped from there. This is the port value chain. I'll skip it. Now, what is the correlation between the maritime trade and world GDP? It is an average. It contributes 1.5% of the GDP to the country's GDP on the maritime sector. What are the effects? There are direct effects, which means if you, like PNSC employs people directly, but then there are indirect effects and catalytic and induced effects. The indirect effect is that those people who are employed by PNSC goes and buy from the supermarket. So that's the contribution they make to the GDP. So it is, if an economy of the country has to grow, they have to have these, they have to take all these factors into consideration. Now, how do you grow the maritime economy? You grow the maritime economy around a ship owner, because it's the ship owner which attracts all the other industries. The service providers, the bunker suppliers, the shipbuilders, the security companies, the travel agents, all these companies are attracted by the presence of the ship owner. Now, unfortunately, this country had a very healthy shipping sector. When I grew up over here, and I was initially working in this industry in the 70s. But that despaired. It was a very vibrant industry at that time. There were 111 ships. There were private owners who were ordering the ships. But unfortunately, those private owners have taken their ships and their investment from outside countries. Now, coming to that also, why Pakistan does not have an international flag like a Singapore flag? So they can attract those ship owners, which are beneficial ownership is Pakistani nationals, and they can attract those ship owners back by giving them the tax incentives rather than losing it completely. By attracting them, they will be able to generate jobs. They will be able to add value to the whole economy, to the maritime economy of Pakistan. And that will produce more and more competent people and better maritime dealing on the maritime situation. Now, if I did a benchmarking, because I did this study in 2008, on the right-hand side is the different maritime clusters. The most perfect cluster is Singapore. And then for Pakistan, I've done it as a desktop, because what is available, whatever information was available to me on the internet. And so please, if there will be an error in there, it may not be exact on the Pakistan side, but because I collected my information from what I just read. You can see the different clusters have got different strengths, but one of the clusters which is completely and complete is Singapore, which has got 4.13 rating calculation with different weights. The weights I showed in my previous slide, which were there, the closest relationship to the ship owner is with the finance. Then the next closest relationship is with the yards. So here, on that basis, they've taken 5 things. I rate Pakistan at the moment at 4.25. But the positive thing about this is the chances of Pakistan going up are more than Pakistan going down on this side, maritime economy side. This is the global ship fleets. I will skip that also. I already said that. It was 0.04%. Now coming to this is an extra slide I have put on LNG. I have, as I said, that I have been involved in LNG since 2002 when I wrote my first report on it when I was with DVB Bank in Rotterdam. And I understand LNG. And then I got the opportunity to work practically on an LNG development of an LNG regasification terminal in Abu Dhabi by a company, by Abu Dhabi Mubadala, and the terminal was to be developed in Fujairah or Ras Al Khaimah. And I did the site selection and the concepts. There are much cheaper concepts available. Why is this FSRU concept, which has been taken, even on then particular concept, you can see that what would you call it, MMP regasification cost. I have given here, I'll have to turn, on a 15 years basis from 4 different parties, these are actual numbers, was from 23 cents to 22.5. Why are we leasing the FSRU? If you're going to lease an FSRU at that cost, which is $150,000 a day, it equates to $54 million a year, and multiply that by 15 years is $821 million. And after spending $821 million, you've got zero to show for because you don't have an asset. Now, in the bottom, I have put down if you own the vessel. If you own the vessel at the same specs, the cost is 7 cents per MMBTU for the regasification. And the best thing is, at the end of 15 years, you still have an asset. You still have an asset which is valued at $240 million if you have paid to $280 million. So it is, and then you have a value added by providing jobs and training to your own people. I think I will skip most of them and I will conclude the potential is enormous and we just have to capitalize on that potential. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Captain Alawi. It was an exceptional presentation, very objective and to the point. And there are a lot of take-home points, and I'm sure people around in this hall and sitting on the top at the desk would take note of some of the objective calculations which you have with respect to various. So without further ado, the house is open, so we have about 10-12 minutes for question answer. So starting from the back and then we can move forward, or anybody. Okay, so over to Vice Admiral Khavar.
Very educative presentations. Taking the point from what Captain Alawi has said and what the Secretary MoMA, my question is to the Secretary. For many years now, there are studies, dozens of studies lying in MoMA that Pakistan's freight bill is colossal. It's like he said, there's a ship owners which drives the blue economy. So why MoMA is so reluctant to get some ownership of the ships? You have a huge issue of current account deficit, which you can save about $5 to $8 billion. Connected with it is, if you look at Ethiopia, which is a landlocked country, it has more seafarers worldwide than Pakistan. We don't even have a training ship for our Marine Academy. So I fully agree with you. You just in the saddle just a month ago. I met your predecessor, Mr. Chandna, about I think 2 months back. So my question to you is, when we will start working on already this so much potential of the shipping and creating, Philippines earns billions out of their seafaring community, $8 billion or something. So this is my 2 questions to you.
Thank you very much, sir. So regarding why are we losing so much on freight? So if it's around $5 billion freight we are incurring through imports. So one is our way of importing. Our legislation doesn't coerce people to go for an FOB. You're okay to go for a CNF, and if you go for a CNF, so people book freight by themselves. So this is, I guess, maybe $4 billion is through the containerized freight which we pay. But you know very well that we don't have freighters. Our PNSE hasn't done well. The The policy of the government to attract the ship owners, I guess it's not been, I would say, taken ground. People are not really, didn't. I think the policy needs to be, redone with sitting with you people, so the ship owners or whosoever are interested. I don't understand why we haven't done well enough. I mean, it's, back in 1971, we had 17 top ship owners, and now we have just the PNSC. So yes, that's a, thank you very much for asking this question, and I really think that that's a huge gap, and we need to remedy that. So I will be very keenly waiting for you. I also sit in the KPT, the ship owners can come. Let's discuss. If there is some gap in the policy, we would certainly like to straighten that up. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Commodore Khalid. My question is to the Secretary MoMA. Sir, I just want to know the present status of the revised maritime policy, because it's long overdue, and the future of the National Maritime Affairs Coordination Committee with respect to that. And I would request you to kindly share, if possible, the draft policy and the report which you are referring 2 times in your address, so that if somebody has certain comments on that to add into it, that should be available on your website or something else. And at the last, a suggestion to consider development of marine spatial data interface, which has been around the world. I mean, more than 50 countries have prepared it. And it brings all the maritime data at one place, by means of which you can get this integrated data to unlock the potential of that data into the information and then the knowledge. And that saves huge amount of money in recollection of that data again and again, and utilizing it in best way. So I would like that if you can consider the development, sir.
So I guess the last question first, the spatial data. And that's one of the areas which will be doing that very strongly. Before I came here, I was the head of Pakistan Customs, and we drove the Pakistan single window, and a lot of effort already has gone into it. We now have the template, and it's very difficult to get government bodies onto a certain sort of platform. So if you want a spatial data, you need concurrence of all the stakeholders who work. For the port community system, we've already almost done in the Pakistan single window. You know the IMO regulation now, which says that you need to have a single window for shipping now. So we're almost there, but we will be very keenly working on this. But again, I tell you, it's a challenge in Pakistan. It's very difficult to kind of make government bodies share data. So immigration will not talk to customs, customs is not going to talk to Navy, Navy is not going to talk to the Army. So once we understand the power of data and we understand what the potential of data can bring, it's all about sharing that data. So it will be a challenge, but I will be going to the other stakeholders to make a platform. 2 is about the question about the draft policy, the draft Blue Economy report. We can share it with you, but I think if you could just wait a while, let the final draft come, and I'll try to send it across to you also for all the people. I think Rahat may have some views on it. I'm not sure from World Bank. They are really have worked very hard on it, and I must tell you, if we could implement that, it would be just we will be going miles ahead. Like the other gentleman said, there have been huge number of researches made, and they are on the shelves of MoMA. I myself asked the World Bank people to give me those. There are around 8 studies, and I'm not sure about even that the policy recommendations were adopted. But we are very keen that to kind of you see, it's very important that we understand the approach has to be very humble, and we need to really interact with people and try to make things happen. It's, you know, these studies take a lot of money and effort, and after what we, you know, if we don't push the recommendations, you know, that's money loss, that's opportunity loss. But thank you for the questions.
Captain Anwar Shah, if I'm not mistaken.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Anwar Shah. I'm advisor to Karachi Chamber of Commerce and Industry. My question is to whom it may concern. I recall when Chairman KPT was present, we all talk about inducing private sector, but have we done anything? I presented to Senate Standing Committee a paper on flag of convenience. Why can't we do it? So naturally, I need to be educated because obviously I don't have that much of expertise. I need to be educated that why can't, when the world is going for flag of convenience, why can't we do it? The second thing is this, just for the information of the House. Yesterday, PNC doesn't have any container experience. Yesterday, at Karachi Chamber, we offered them that if you give the container, we will give you the cargo. Though most of the private sector cargo comes from C and F, but we will use it because right now, most of the containers are lying in detention and damage. So we can use it. So my humble request is this, that kindly educate me. Thank you very much.
Looks like this Secretary Boma, who has just been in office for 1 month. Any quick reply, please?
So, sir, I understand what Pakistani importers are going through nowadays. There are a lot of containers which are still lying at the port due to non-retirement of the LCs. They're there. So the government is trying its best. I think there's some headway here. I hope we go through the IMF talks and we could have more dollars for the LCs to retire. 2 is about the private sector at the port. I think you would agree, sir, we have now become a pretty landlocked landowner policy we have got now at the ports. It's the private sector which is dealing with containers, not us. We're just doing bulk, and now we might go into a multi-purpose terminal for bulk. Else, it's all private sector, the PICT, the KICT, the SAPTL, and then at the Port Qasim, you have the DP Works. So, so basically, it's the private sector which is driving the ports now, and we have a landowner policy now. We're really not, getting into areas where we think we're inefficient, and we let the private sector drive. Now coming to the PNSC, which doesn't have a freighter, so I understand if we had freighters, we could have saved some very precious dollars for the country in terms of that, the PNSC could have, saved that much of freight. So let's all, as I have listened to you in the Senate Committee meeting also, Shah Sahab, jo bhi kaam hoga, whatever is going to happen, we'll have to sit across the table or maybe round tables and try to hammer things out. Already we have lost, as I've said earlier, lost a few opportunities. But the opportunities are always there. So the new chairman PNSC is a young guy and a rear admiral, and mostly he's around the world just doing his bit for you people. So let's just see how we, and for PNSC, I guess, it really needs to expand its financial base. we can only perhaps afford second-hand ships. We can't even afford a new ship. So that's a situation. So either we go for market capitalization of PNSC, or the government invests some more money in it, or the private sector takes a pie of the market. We will try to get the policy formulated to the level in which we could attract investors to shipping. Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, my apologies. We've simply run out of time. Dr. Christian Bueger wants to make a small comment, and then we'll wrap up.
Yes, thank you so much. Quite obviously, I'm not well versed to answer or address these questions since my knowledge of Pakistani politics and policy making is limited. I just wanted to make two more general points. The first one, I think it is important to recognize that many countries are struggling with these questions, and that it's important to learn from countries that have a similar size as Pakistan. So, for instance, Kenya is struggling with many of these issues as well, and has started a blue economy process and so on. So that would be my suggestion to government, then, to study carefully the other cases of countries that are in a similar situation. The second and last point, I think we need to be highly aware of what the blue economy is. In many ways, it is a scam, right? It promises heaven, growth, jobs, whatsoever. But it's not it's not the silver bullet. We have to be very realistic what can be done in economic terms in the sea, and also how much we're actually destroying the marine habitat in doing it, because this tension between economic growth and sustainability is not easily reconciled. Usually measures fall either into the one direction or the other. So let's be aware of that, and not only preach the blue economy without being fully conscious about these problems.
Thank you much for a very insightful couple of points. You don't understand Pakistani politics. None of us understands Pakistani politics either. So we're in the same boat. Similarly, certainly we'll have a look at various case studies that'll be very useful. Ladies and gentlemen, I leave my pearls of knowledge or wisdom for some other time because we've simply run out of time. Please join me in giving a round of applause for three excellent panelists which we had. Each one of them could have spent the whole day with you. So over to Ahmed Syed for the last ritual or whatever. Thank you once again. Thank you for being such a lovely and lively audience. I'm grateful for your participation.